Ta-da! What is happening out there in YouTube land, my friends? Yours truly, Rockin' Dave, the real deal. Not Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, and all that good stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sorry that we're running a little bit behind. I had to, our dryer wasn't really working, so what I had to do, actually Deb made the suggestion. I thought, oh yeah, that's right. You know, disconnect the hose and then just clean it out, make sure nothing's stuck there. So not only did that, but I shortened the hose a little bit and then angled the dryer. Of course, you test it before you hook everything up, and everything's running perfect now. But, so that's how that is. Anyways, my friends, that right there is just a little improv piece. I had a title for it and I totally forgot about it. Let's see what happens, all right? That's how's that. We'll call it, let's see what happens. Just plug in and play. Welcome to what I call Jazz Fusion Sundays. And I'm going to try doing this, you know, like every other Sunday. I'm going to try to shoot for the 2 o'clock time slot, between 2 and 2:30. If anything happens, I'll try to give people notification. But because it's going to be, because we are in rainy season, thunderstorm season down here in Southwest Florida, and the particular area that we're at, sometimes that we live at, sometimes our tower gets taken out. So that means sometimes we don't get a good connection. I don't know if the volume is too loud or not, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to see if I could lower this. Let's see. If anyone's out there, I think there is a couple of people that are out there. I don't want to hit anything with this because the next thing you know, I'm talking to Gorbachev. You know what I mean? With my luck, anything's possible, right? Jimmy Biter, what's happening? Ron Limber, what is happening? Janice Lala, what is happening? Janice, let's see if I could do this here. Actually, there was a guy, he works on guitars. And maybe I could do this. He, I think his name is Dylan. This channel is called Dylan Talks Tone. And what I I gave him a suggestion to check out your channel. The reason why I say that, Janice, is he was giving a guitar away. Now it was a Jackson Flying V, and he changed out the pickups. And I thought, why not see if he'd give it out for someone like you, because I know you had mentioned about another guitar. I think it was a Dan Electro that you had received. And Electric Gypsy Blues, what's happening, man? Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate this, guys. Let's see if I can back some of this up. You try to plan something and it doesn't go as according as planned. That's why I plan nothing, and let's see what happens. Okay, so the next little tune I'm going to play here, we're going to be playing, and then I'm going to talk about, I got both my Gibson Les Paul out and the Epiphone Les Paul out. And there is a difference, but when it comes to a performer's point of view and the price is like this compared to what the actual difference is from a performer's point of view. Now, if you get an American-made, any American-made guitar, it will hold its value. That is for sure, especially when it hits the vintage market. However, these Epiphones, with the situation with China, maybe they might see some value. I don't know. But we'll talk about that in a few, because I got them out so I won't forget anything. Here. And let's hope I don't. No, I won't forget anything. Okay. So let's see what happens with this one. And hope it's not too loud. Here we go. All right, my friends. Thank you very, very much. Now, you might hear a little bit of. I hope again the volume is good. When I see the test the replay, that's I'll find out. I'm plugged straight in from the effect pedals right into the the Roland BA330 powered speaker. And if anyone ever wanted to find out what, in my opinion, the best one-man band live looping rig out there, this is really it. And I'm going to see if I could basically show you guys. I'm sure you guys seen it, but sometimes people just get on my channel for the first time and they wonder how I get this sound, how do I get that sound without using a synthesizer. And I gotta do this because you know how these cameras work. That's it right there. I got 2 loop stations or Jamman stereos with different loops, and the Digitech RP360. Sorry about that, guys. That's not cool. And that's basically what I use. And what's really cool about it is I could do this live right on the fly. I've done this so many times at these gigs, and it works. And that's why I stay true to it, because it absolutely works. So I'm going to play another piece here, and we're going to get the Gibson out. And then we'll kind of do a little bit of a comparison here. I see some of these comparison videos when people they'll take, let's say, for this situation, a Gibson Les Paul standard versus an Epiphone Les Paul standard. Well, the Epiphone I have is a studio model, so other than the cosmetics, it's going to be the pickups. But it's where you find out that the woods really do make a difference. There's some people say, "Oh no, tone wood does that." Well, we'll talk about that a little bit in a little while here, because there's something that doesn't get mentioned, and there is a difference. Okay, I got my little list right here. Now, I love to rock out and like to do like blues rock and all that, but I do like playing a lot of the jazz fusion stuff. And the reason being is that me and my friends growing up, this is kind of what we used to play, have our jam sessions. And that's why I do like it. It reminds me of back home with my friends, Okay, for this particular song, with this guitar here, I'm going to put the neck selector, pickup selector in the middle, so I get both neck and bridge pickup. And I won't call for the out of phase, but I'll show you that in a little bit here. So here we go. Make sure these settings are not too loud. All right. Something's going to happen, but that's life, right? 1, 2, 3. All right, my friends, thank you very, very much for tuning in once again. And so these songs are stuff that I have written a while back, some not too far, not too long ago. The first thing I did was I improvised. Just got time to respond. The issue I have with the, oh, let's see what happened. Sucks. Um, but here's the deal. Okay, going back to what I was gonna say. What I just opened up with, I improvise a lot, and this comes from just years and years and years and years of doing this. But if you have a very creative mind, you'd be surprised. It won't take you that long if you just have a creative mind. That kind of goes hand in hand a little bit there. It's very common when people learn guitar that, especially nowadays, there's so much information out there. It's almost like there's too much information and it can be overwhelming. As opposed to back in the day when we started playing, I was in grade school, so we would learn in chord progressions. And I got a funny feeling that the teachers at the schools, what they were showing us is whether they were kind of like folk songs or songs that they were putting together, write out a chord progression and show us this is D major. Here's your A major. here's your G. You know, things like that. Here's A minor. And then they put little chord progressions together, make a song, and next thing you know, we're playing at the school, assembly hall. So when I hear people on YouTube saying, well, how am I supposed to teach if I cannot use a song as, as an example? Well, if you're good at chord progressions and rhythms, this is another way that you could approach it. You know, it does not have to always be with a song, because with all the copyright infringements and copyright strikes and things like that going on, it makes it a little difficult. So, now, with that thought process in mind, growing up in Chicago, we have a lot of blues and jazz, and that's really where I would hear all this stuff. Because at that period of time in the 70s, especially in the 70s, with the jazz fusion, reached in its like very height of popularity in the underground scene. So I'm talking musicians who would lock into this. Then they would bow into the blues, because blues and jazz is just a few different chords away from each other as far as technicalities are concerned. Because it's very common to teach blues using, let's say, a C7, dominant 7, and then an F7. The G7, then stepping down G flat to, so forth. But then we would use minor 7th chords and a little bit of a groove. Now, the funny thing is, I remember playing a chord progression like that. Thrash Metal Fun Riffs, thank you so much. Oh, the Danelectro. The issue I have with the Danelectro is how to change the strings. Oh, okay. Thank you, Thrash Metal. I appreciate it. So, next time I look at that video, because I did see it, I think it's a red Danelectro that you have. If it's strung through the body, I don't know, or it could be what's called a wraparound, or it could be something that's like really almost very difficult to put the strings through. Because I had a student back up in Illinois. He had a BC Rich Warlock, like the Slayer, Kerry King Slayer model, and it was a wraparound bridge. But the way the holes were set for the strings, you had to really kind of line it up. It was very difficult. So I don't know if it's that type of a situation or not. But when I look at that video, Janice, I'll leave a comment on that video and see, what I could, if I could look something up and kind of help you out with that, But I thought that was really cool, But okay, so back to Chicago style blues and jazz in general. They do kind of feed off of each other, Oh yeah, Janice, you're welcome. Yeah, you're welcome, because it's some of these guitars have issues, and if depending on where they got those parts and who was putting those parts together, sometimes you got little sharp edges. Sometimes you have issues with these locking tuners. Okay, yeah, some bridges are maybe best to do one at a time. Yeah, you're right. When I change strings with the any of these Floyd systems, I'll do that, and then I let the strings get wobbly, so once they're in, and then I'll clean the fretboard. But for instance, this guitar that's over here, this is a brand called Laguna. And this was Guitar Center's model. Got a little flame finish there. This originally had a Wilkinson bridge. I took it off, and then I put these Graphtec. I got these Graphtec saddles when Carvin Company was open. But these tuners are from another guitar. So they're not the original tuners. They had those locking tuners. I'm going to tell you something of these locking tuners. Do they help? stabilize your tuning. Kind of. Okay? Kind of. This has those Gibson locking tuners. Could you see those little... Okay, now I'm going to show you something. Let's see if I could do this. You know how it is. Come on. So, I don't want to step on things. Okay, so you see this right here? This is my E string. It won't tighten. I saw a video. It's a very similar problem. These other ones, they'll lock. And the guy said, okay, sometimes you have to take the thing apart and do this, that, and the other. I thought, you know what? The guitars I had back in the 80s, we did not have these locking tuners. And if you don't have a whole lot of wraparound up here, you won't have problems tuning. Now, this will help when for instance, there's not a whole lot of wrap that's around this. It's like a one shot, it locks in. Well, not this one, but like this one. Well, let's say this one. Maybe you could see this a little better. There's not a whole lot of wrap around there. So it's one shot, lock it in, and then you just turn it a little bit, and you will get some of a wrap around, only because of the nature of you got to tune this, tune the string. But other than that, you really don't need these locking tuners. If you don't put a whole lot of wrap around, lock them in, you're not going to have these problems. Because that Laguna, I would have to take a screwdriver and make sure I would tighten it, and then sometimes it would turn, and I couldn't see through the holes. Again, I'm like, this is a pain in the ass, man. When you're at a gig and you have to change a string, and you're farting around and this and that, it's a waste of time. Throw this thing in the garbage, man. Get this regular tuners, get it done, and you're done. Because you know what? When it comes down to getting things done as fast as possible, that's what I like to do. Get it done as accurate, as best as you can, so you got to stretch the strings out, obviously. But when you're fiddling around with all that crap, man, it's just a waste of time. I mean, it's tough enough with the Floyd systems. But what I will say with these Floyd systems, I have never broke a string down by where the saddle is. Because when you feed that string in, it's about maybe an eighth of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch, maybe a quarter inch of a hard 90 degree. If you take any piece of wire and, you get some needle nose and you bend it, right, where the 90 degree is at maybe a quarter inch, if that, and go ahead and try to wiggle that, over a course of time, maybe. But if it's a bigger piece, let's say a half inch or inch, now there's more wiggle room. And that's at least my theory behind all this. And that's probably why I would pop these strings, because where the string would break is at this resting point here, and the ball end is like over here, and you got all this space, this wiggle room, you know what I mean? And I think that's why I never really had problems with the Floyd systems. But I'll tell you what, when you do pop the string, at least have another guitar back up, because, unless you block that bridge system with either a piece of black, or the Ibanez would have a 0 return trem that you could adjust that flywheel and just lock it in. When you pop a string, it goes like that, and it's all over, man. You know what I mean? And especially if you're playing this style of music where you got these, major 7th chords, minor 7, and stuff like that, and you gotta play with a little bit more, with a clean tone. It's very noticeable. Okay. So a lot of, like I said, a lot of the stuff that I play that is jazz related, it's more jazz fusion. It's not traditional jazz. The same when I play blues. I do mix a little bit of a funk groove, a little bit of a smoother groove, so it kind of borderlines where jazz and blues would flare together. And I'm gonna tell you guys, back in the 80s, that's what a lot of people were doing, especially the newer ones, up and coming. And when you see blues now, it's more blues rock, which I actually like that, as well. I do think that the early British guys, from Robin Trower, to Jimmy Page, they took the blues. They took actually a lot of the Chicago style blues, and they amped it up, But what's really cool is Buddy Guy is still with us, and if anyone gets a chance that lives in the Chicagoland area, and I know Electric Gypsy Blues, you're definitely in the area. Now you're a blues guitarist. You do blues rock, but I could say, yeah, you're Chicago blues. You're the next generation of the Chicago blues. And you ever get a chance to go down to, Buddy Guy's, see if you could go down there and just have a conversation with them. If we ever make our way back to the Chicagoland area, and I'll tell Deb, hey, we get a little time. Let's see if we can go down to Buddy Guy's, and because I think she's been down to the old Buddy Guy's place. But go down there and just see if he's there, and just meet the man himself, and just talk with him and show him the respect that he is due, and just thank him for all the great music. You know what I mean? But a lot of the guys, the newer guys that were coming out back in the '80s, people were starting to do the two-hand tapping, and then you look at the pedal boards, and there's like a gazillion pedals, and that's not what the old blues musicians used to do. And I'll tell you what, people would have this misconception that it was always a Fender and a tube amp. No, no, no. There is a video, if you YouTube it, God, I can't remember. It's about blues, the history of blues, and basically, I think this was called Do You See Me Smiling Now, or You See Me Laughing, or something like that. The very beginning of that video, you're going to see an old man with a PV guitar that almost looks like a Razor type of a guitar. Definitely set for metal, okay? Plugging in to a PV Bandit 65. Now, this was back in the 80s, so it's the 80s version of the 60 PV Bandit 65. And my point I'm making here is the real blues guys, the real guys, would grab whatever piece of gear that was available to them, and they would make that sound good, because they didn't have a whole lot of money. They would get screwed left and right when they were making money. Half the time they'd go to the pawn shop and grab whatever was available for them. Listen to the story of Buddy Guy was talking about, how he'd grab, he'd nail a piece of string or a rubber band, take two nails and nail them to the wall and have like a piece of string so he could have something to pluck. Or he was talking a story about the one guy would come with his acoustic guitar, and they'd drink, and the guy would get drunk, he'd pass out. So while the guy was passed out, Buddy Guy was able to pluck the strings for a couple hours, This is how it really was. Excuse me, guys. I'm blabbing, and I need to wet my whistle. Now, when I hear people teaching blues, they do have good advice, okay? There is some good advice out there. So I'm not saying don't listen to any of those people. The only thing that kind of disappoints me is that none of them talk about the feel. None of them talk about, well, how are these people getting so much emotion out of maybe three notes? And if they're playing three notes, are they playing this Mixolydian scale, that Mixolydian scale, this Dorian dominant, the third, flatted the fifth, or maybe the ninth, sharpened the 11th, flatted the 13th, and all this stuff? They're pulling emotion out of a note. And that right there, I think, should be really implemented in teaching any style of music. You gotta have some sort of a feel, because you see, nobody, when they go out and play in the real world, very few people are going to be playing in front of a whole crowd of musical intellectuals and college professors. And I'm not saying they won't be there. That's not what I'm saying. And I'm not saying anything in disrespect. But my point is that if you focus too much on technique and this scale and this theory, and you start losing the feel, it's never going to sound like music. That is one aspect that should be the most important thing to teach in music theory, is the feel. Because the fact of the matter is, music is a different language. Like when, as an instrumentalist, I have a horrible voice. That's why I do not sing. And I'm going to touch on that subject in just a little bit. So if you notice, there's certain pieces of music, I play basically the same melody over and over, and I maybe do a little variation here. Or if I have a brain fart, I forget. It happens. And then there's certain pieces of music I'll do the shredding, but I'll do only to a certain degree, because I don't want to lose that feel. Because when I was younger, yeah, I'd love to shred, and there's even some videos that's still up on this channel where I look at the playback and I'm shredding. I'm thinking, to me, I can't feel it right there, so maybe I shouldn't do that, because it's it has to be felt. It's got to be, to me, it's got to be real. Otherwise, it's like, okay, now I know I'm not gonna do that next time. You know what I mean? if I'm going to pick on people, if I'm going to critique anybody, I might as well critique myself, right? You know. But likewise with the jazz fusion, and what I like about this style of music, it blends all these different styles together. And my friends, Andy and Angel, are my best guitar buddies growing up back in the 80s. Andy, Angel, Louis Pacheco, Robbie, and Ivan Pena. We'd get together. If it wasn't all of us at once, it'd be like maybe me, Andy, and Angel, or me and Louis, or me and Robert. We all get together and we'd have these jam sessions. And this is way before, YouTube and looping pedals and any of that stuff. So we would kind of feed off of each other. We would have our friendly kind of, if you want to call it guitar competitions, try to, do this flash here and do that flash here. But it was all with the intention to let's build everybody up together. You know what I mean? So we had someone that we could rely on, and someone would kind of tell us, okay, you need to do this and you need to do that. Okay, but they weren't jerkwads about it. You know what I mean? And I'll never forget how I started to develop my picking technique. Was literally because I had a sloppy technique. This was like 6 years into my playing, because everyone's telling me down, 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 have the guitar low, down, 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 and all this, anything to be stupid. You know what I mean? Not to be good, but to be stupid and cool. And I thought, well, I want to get good, right? So when I was in the process of developing my alternate picking, I would literally do jam sessions where I would be just playing melodies, because I wanted to fix a problem. Because I knew if I let myself, get carried away, and all of a sudden it's back to slop and drop and everything else, and nothing would come out the way I really wanted it to come out. And then that's how I was able to develop over a course of time. I think the first time I felt I made a breakthrough, I was playing a pattern that was like these runs. But I always maintain having that vibrato. See, the trick is, you could go, you watch these videos and people tell you, instead of building up to the speed, start playing fast. Well, gotta be careful with that type of advice. It's partially good. Where it's partially good is to get used to that momentum, and it's on one string. But how many times have you heard people try to do it and they're like, it's not really there. It's not like. So how do you get to that point? By doing it slow and accurately and musically. That's the only way you're going to get to it. Otherwise, or that's one of the ways. That's what helped me. So, now, when it comes out, I'll get to the other Les Paul and I'll do a little comparison. How many of you out there, and you don't sing, okay? And you can't sing, and that's not your thing, so you don't sing, and that's just your thing. Like myself, I don't sing because I don't want to, because personally, I have a horrible voice. That's how I look at it. And my mindset is I love playing instrumental music. So how many times have you guys and gals out there get together, you do a jam session, or you get together with some friends, or I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen people put these comments on any of your on your YouTube channels or any of your videos, which I'm glad they don't. Because see, now with this generation YouTube, they know that these are guitar channels, and that's what it is. It's guitar music. But boy, I'll tell you what, to some of these people, when I tell them, or they see me play, and they notice I'm doing all instrumental. Now, not the last week's live gig that I did, they loved it. Because they thought it was something different. And it was like good to hear that somebody, if they can't sing, at least they could play some music. You know what I mean? And then I could get just hit with someone singing off key. But I've had some of these people, come on, you got to sing. Eric Clapton didn't, he just said he didn't know how to sing, or this and that. And I'm not trying to disrespect anybody, but when I'm advertising my show as a guitar show, that's what it is, And if a person does not like that, that's okay. They could still be my friends. I'm not going to cry over it. I'm not going to get offended over it. I'm not going to say, well, you're not going to be my friend anymore. But no, you're more than welcome to be my friend. You don't have to like what I do just to like me as a person. You know what I mean? But it's very strange how some of these people, it's like this is their only thing they got to hang on to. And I think that things got lost somewhere in the playing field, and they really think if you play guitar, you have to sing. So I remember telling this one lady this, and I said, hey, you like saxophone music, right? Yeah, it's nice. You know, just saxophone. What's this? A guy playing a solo sax piece, right? Yeah. I said, you ever notice that they're not singing? Well, no, because they're playing a saxophone. I said, yeah, because, I mean, it would look kind of stupid. They got the mouthpiece in the mouth and, you know, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So likewise, if a person does something instrumentally, and if it sounds very pleasing to the ear, shouldn't that be accepted? Hey, that's kind of cool, you know? Maybe it's not my thing totally, but I'm not going to rip on the guy or the gal and say, you got to sing, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. It's kind of crazy when people play that, you know? But I let them do what they want. I let them say what they want. As long as they don't get belligerent with me, then that's when I'm going to say, okay, enough of that, right? But people really do what they want. Do what's in your heart. Because when you go out there and you start faking it, people are going to catch it right away. And then you come home and you'll know. Because you're not going to lie. You're not going to lie to yourself. Yeah, I don't blame you. Singing while playing is, yeah. Yeah. I mean, first of all, I can't do it. I hear melodies in my head. Obviously, I do hear melodies in my head. But I've been playing 46 years now, something like that. And I've never sang. So, and I've always been into anything that's been instrumental because that's been my wow factor. So when I advertise my shows, even when we do the ticket sales, which we'll see how things go because of the way Corona is. Yeah, singing while playing is easy for me. Yeah, see, Janice, because you got that gift. You got the gift. And that right there, and it shows. You have the passion and you have the gift. And you have your own unique voicing. And don't let anyone take that away from you. You know what I mean? Because you have to do what's in your heart. You see, that's the exception right there. But see, if I try it, it's just not going to work. It won't work for me. People might say, well, you got to, keep at it, keep trying. They're 100% right. But here's the problem. I don't have the want to. I don't have the desire to. So, okay, but I have the desire to do this. So you stick with that. There's nothing wrong with it. Yeah, it comes down to can versus want. Absolutely. Thrash metal, you nailed it right there. And like I said, on the guitar community, I don't see people leaving comments on your videos. Yeah, I could play without singing, but I can't sing without playing. Ah, yeah. Well, you see, you know what it is, Janice? You're hearing all these melodies. You're hearing, tones. And you can find your voice within any one of those notes. So it's like, it is a good tool to have for that, And here's the thing. When it comes down to music isn't anything different than, let's say, someone who has a bike shop, Their thing is maybe they do custom bikes, or maybe they do a little bit of everything to sell to the public, but they will have a certain specialty. They might be working on BMX bikes, so they're known in the area as that. You know what I mean? Likewise with music, people, no matter how many times you try to please everybody with the cover bands, there is going to be something that is going to make you stand out different than anybody else. And that is a reality. So there's nothing wrong with capitalizing on that. And that's something that we've gone back to doing. Now, when I did the gig last week, I did throw in covers there. And all instrumental. And so far, so good. And if they contact me, or if, through the internet and say, with the copyright claims and strikes, and if it gets to the point where I can no longer, absolutely can't even do the cover songs I've been doing, I'm going to respect it. But that's just me, because I do love playing original music. And getting to the point of doing what you really want to do, in our case, with doing the ticket sales, telling people that, no, I don't sing, this is what we do. Our specialty is we do a guitar show. If you're going to go to a classic car show and you see nothing but 2019, 2020 cars, but you don't see any class. It's not a classic car show, you know. So there's specialties. So basically, that's what we've gone back to, selling this as a product. And for people who want to come and check out this, who like this product, who like this type of music, 100% this is for you. And I'll tell you what, guys and gals out there, I would hear people tell me, no, Dave, you got to do this because you got to play what the people want to hear. You got, well, in the clubs, if you could do nothing but the bars and you work it out with the bar, owners, and that's what they want, that's a different scenario there. But those people that, I've had musicians try to tell me this too, and I'm like, okay, then you've never done this, because if they would have done this, they would see the difference. Or they might say, yeah, but you won't get as big of a crowd, or you won't get this or that. That's fine. As far as I'm concerned, that's fine. It's not that I don't want to have a big crowd or anything. It's just that at some point, I got sick of trying to please everybody, and now if I'm going to be a hired gun, that's different, because then they're the ones paying me. Then this is what I do. If a band needs a guitarist to do a recording, because I've done that before, that's totally different. But I think that I've paid enough of my dues, and we are investing our money, that we're not asking anyone to invest their money, so we could do this type of a show. And this is for people who do like this kind of music. It's interesting. If you take like thrash metal fun riffs out there, electric gypsy blues, Janice Lala, and I if I go like this, I don't know if I'll see anyone, but see, a lot of you guys and gals out there, you're going to have a style of music that you love to see, and by all means, you go out and you check that out. I don't think there's any of you that's in our guitar community here. If I don't know who the latest rap artist is out there, I don't think that you're gonna say, you know what, every time this rap artist comes to play, I'm gonna come and see them, and I'm gonna make, hey, metalhead hippie, what is happening, my friend? I appreciate you showing up, man. Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I hear you. No, that's right. I do the same thing when sometimes I'm on people's channels too, But I don't think a lot of you out there are gonna say, "Yep, I want to see this rap artist, and I want to spend, top dollar so I get front row center," just because you don't like that style of music. Well, at the same time, there's this style of music. You know what I mean? So, as a musician, you can never be afraid to take chances. Um, what's nice with YouTube, you don't have to really spend a whole lot of money, and your music gets out to the whole world. And for people who are the doubters about playing instrumental music or jazz fusion or blues or anything like that, and just let's say guitar music, well, in the real world, there are people that do not get on the internet, and there are people out there that don't get on YouTube. That is a fact. I was kind of shocked when I was doing all those gigs and putting up everything up on streaming live, about a year or so ago. And they would say, I don't get on YouTube. And I would say, yeah, you gotta check out this person. That's why I was spotlighting everyone's videos. I was that girl, Philippa Ardent. She has that song called "Because My Smile Is Fake," and yeah, I played it at a couple of the gigs, and I figured out the chord progression, and I'd back up and I'd play along with. And there was an open spot. I was able to put a melody solo, and I put it in. And then when she was playing, I put myself, just like we were doing a recording studio. It's like doing a live recording studio session, except that artist is not there. And I sent her a message saying, I'd like to spotlight your song. And, she didn't understand what the term spotlight meant. And I explained it to her. And I guess she said, yeah, that's cool. But what it is taking people's music and bring it right out to the actual clubs that they don't normally get on the internet. So they thought that was a really cool idea, doing that. But my point is, there's like two separate worlds, and what is nice with the YouTube world is now the guitar players have a platform to show their talent, whatever kind of style of music it is. And now, because it's the guitar community, it does focus on the guitar. You know what I mean? So the people that are on the outside world, when I hear them say, oh no, you can't, this, people won't that, and I tell them, well, just take a look, Anyways, so I'm going to show you guys the difference here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug straight into the Fender, because I don't want. Well, I'll tell you what. I'll just leave it plugged in right here. Can you guys hear this? Okay, because what I'm going to do is going to show you the difference, what the actual difference is between this. Let's see. I think Old Man Dan. What's happening, my friend? I'd rather sing and just focus on the guitar. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, when it comes to singing, not only do I feel like I don't have a voice, I'm not really interested in it. That's one of my biggest fears, you know? So it's, again, it's because it doesn't interest me, that's all. Okay, what I did right here, I'm on the clean channel on the through the Digitech, so it's just like through a Fender type of an amp sim and just reverb. Okay, so I'm got my switch in the middle, so I got both neck and bridge pickup. I have no coil tapping activated. Okay, so now let me go ahead and grab the Epiphone, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. Now these pickups are called the Burst Bucker Pros. They're a cleaner pickup. People have the misconception that they're hot rodded pickups. No, they're clean. Okay, so I got guitars and cases all over the room here. So the room is not that big, but it's not that small either. So with the little Epiphone, and this is to help people if they're on a budget. Do I have to have real expensive gear? And am I going to be kicked out of the Click Club and banned for life in society? Well, I hope not. Make sure that we're tuned. Okay. There's not much of a difference. What a tuning. You hear that ping? Usually what I'll do, this is an old technique. We grab a thing of chapstick and right across to help lubricate the nut. Now, these are Epiphone pickups. I've never taken them apart. I don't know if they're. I don't think they're not microphonic. You know, where they would make that sound, because I've done outdoor gigs with this festivals and they had it cranked up pretty loud and I didn't have any problems. It is made in China, okay, and the Gibson obviously is made in America, so that'll hold its value. But like I said, who knows what could happen with these, Chinese guitars that are under the umbrella of Epiphone or whatever. Now, other than the woods, in this country we have strong regulations on the woods, on bone, on ivory and things of that nature. On certain woods we have a lot of restrictions. But there is a difference when I pick up the Gibson and I pick up this. There's definitely a difference the way the wood feels. This might be a mahogany body with just maybe whatever type of wood that they're using on the top to carve. Maybe it's all mahogany. Maybe it's a low grade of mahogany. Whereas the Gibson is more of a higher quality grade. When I had my Ibanez Artist guitar, it was a 1978 model. Bought it used in 1979 or 1980 for $350. There was nothing with regulations on woods or you can't this and you can't that. Now that was, let's say, if I bought it in 1980. So it's 2020 now, and it's not just a lot of guitar building that's been going on, just a lot of building in general, where now we've been tapping into our wood supplies and things of that nature. So the regulations get tough. but the regulations got even tougher a few years ago. But over in China and some of these other places, they don't have that issue, but they'll use whatever they have. And in conjunction with that, you got cheap labor over there. So that's what they're used to there. Where over here, our labor, a lot of it's going to be in the labor. Another thing that will be different between a lot of high-end American guitars is the quality of the wood, how long it's been, sitting, drying out, and things of that nature, in its, climate control room, and the electronics, the pickups, and things of that nature. That's where it will make a difference. But now this guitar was like, I think this was $399. The other one we had was $299. We sold that one. This is $399. And I've used this at a lot of corporate, high-end corporate gigs, downtown Chicago, and outdoor festivals and things of that nature. And the same thing with the Gibson. The Gibson we bought in 2014, January 2014, $18.99 plus tax. So it brought it up to like $2,022. But its sale was $3,000. But even $2,000 versus $400, the price ratio difference is like this. And of course the quality is like that, but now, however, in the reliability, this has been a lot more reliable than that. I only had one issue with this switch, and this was just fairly recent, where I had to spray with that, that dust spray to clean the pot out a little bit. Where the Gibson, I've got a video on my channel here, several months back, where I had to take off that back plate, and I had to like wiggle a wire and that, and I got that thing up and going, and before I had a little bit of tuning issues with that. And I love that guitar. Now, hopefully I won't have to get rid of it till I die, But I love Gibsons. I love USA made guitars and that. But however, if there's issues as a performer, I can't go out there and say, well, I got the most expensive this, that, and the other, and yet it's falling apart, it doesn't stay tuned, switches don't work, or this or that. It got to the point for me, if it says Fisher Price, I don't care, as long as it's going to stay in tune. Because there is nothing more embarrassing when you do some of these gigs, and especially these higher end corporate events, and you're looking like a bad day at an open mic session, and it's embarrassing. And then you got something ridiculously expensive and it's not working. I mean, that the reality is the reality. So if there's any advice for people out there, if you're going to buy something for an investment's sake, when you buy American products, they are going to hold their value. And I am not saying, even with the flaws, see, that's a quality control flaw. But does it mean that the actual woods of the guitars and the components are bad? No, they are really good. It's just that through quality control. Maybe there was a fight between the old CEO and the people on the assembly line that day. It happens, man. The CEO's probably, busting everybody's balls, and they're probably saying, you know what, man, you owe me money. You want me to finish this? I'm out of here, man. This guy's nuts. It's life. That's how it really is. So anyways, this is how this sounds. Now, I'm going to just call this for the overdrive. It's like a tube screamer overdrive. I'm going to still keep the pickup selector between the two pickups here. Oh. Not bad. I'll do the same thing with the Gibson. And like I said, this is, let's say, $400 versus $2,000. And you guys be the judge. So always remember, it's your money that gets spent. And once it's spent, it's spent. Well, you can always get it back, right? They got a 30-day trial or 40-day trial or whatever day trial. Back in the early days, they didn't have that. As soon as you walked out the door, You walk out the exit door, if you made a U-turn, come back into the entrance door and try to return the product. Sorry, it's used. Really, I just bought it. I didn't even play it. No, you walked out the door with it, man. It's used. So this might have a little bit brighter sound than that. The only other thing that this does have, now the Epiphones will have this feature too, so it's not exclusive to Gibson. And a lot of other brands will have this. The Ibanez Artist used to have the tritone switches. But see, the Gibson, for some reason, have this particular, we should call it the Gibson sound, where you play in both neck and bridge pickup. Especially when doing palm muting stuff. Now with the coil tapping, so it is nice to have those features. And with the added feature of the out of phase, you know. And with the overdrive, it does give it a little bit of uniqueness. You know, when you start getting into the saturated mode, you could still tell the difference, but it's not as pronounced as with a cleaner sound, you know. But I mean, I do like this guitar a lot, you know. Don't get me wrong, but this is why I shy away from spending a whole lot of money if I don't have to. If I could get the job done, spending less money, I'm actually more happier because I could use that money for something else. Especially as we get older, my friends, you start blowing money. And then when something, God forbid, happens that you need, you could have a 1959 Les Paul. Now, there's going to be someone that's going to buy it. Let's say it's appraised at $100,000, and you happen to need as close to that $100,000 as possible. And now we're in these times right now where no one's buying anything, and now you hit the panic button. Oh crap! I gotta get rid of the guitar, man. I gotta sell it. I need as close to 100,000 as possible. And then on the private market, you know, or a private buyer, yeah, you'll get close to it. But just remember, the person that's looking to buy your gear, they want to save money too. And they're going to negotiate you down. Let alone when you go to a music store or a pawn shop, you know, and you try to do the negotiating, the first thing they're going to tell you is, okay, yeah, it's appraised at $100,000, but you see, I got to turn around and I got to sell it. So there's no way, if I give you $100,000, how am I going to make my money back? That's not going to happen. Yeah, but it's a classic 59. I understand it's a classic 59. But you're in Hertz right now. You need that money more than you need that classic 59 guitar. So you see what I mean? So that's why I don't really wet my drawers too much anymore over a lot of this stuff, because I used to work in a pawn shop, and I used to see the name of the game, man. I'll tell you. People would come in with their jewelry, and they'd say, yeah, the bank appraised it at this, that, and the other. And this is when they would be buying stuff from, you know, online. I'm not online, but on TV, you know, the home shopping shows and all those TV shows, and they order this, and it's appraised at that. They go to the bank. Okay, the bank would tell them, well, we can't do anything with this. You got to go to the pawn shop. So they come to the pawn shop, and we do the asset test and find out it's gold plated. It ain't real gold. Give you $10 for it. Holy crap, when they hit the panic button, man. Bang on the plexiglass. Get all pissed off at us. Thank God we had that glass separating us too, you know. Because, man, some of these people, you don't know what state of mind that they're in and how desperate they need that fix. You know, so that's why, and I don't mean to go off a tangent on it, but what I'm saying is you got to be careful when you buy some of this stuff. Okay, so I set it out as Sunday Jazz Fusion, and I had to worm through all this stuff. I only wanted to talk a little bit about the difference between the Gibson and the Epiphone because our good friend Joe Winch, the Joe Winch Project. If you guys don't know Joe, check out his channel. He's not only a great guitar player, he's an awesome guy, man. You know, check him out. But I guess on a couple weeks ago, on David Stafford's studio. David Stafford's another great guy. Him and R2, R3 Locking Up. Go and check out these guys' channels. But I guess the topic came up about what's the difference between the Gibson and the Epiphone. And, R2, R3 Locking Up was right, with the components and that. But what people they don't talk about, because it's not really a big deal too much, is the regulations on the woods and on certain electronics. There are regulations. And this is what stops a product from, you'll see a prototype, and next thing you know, it just disappears. One issue is the actor could ran out of money, but another issue is they didn't get the clearance. There's the regulations on this, that, and the other, so they can't release the product, and it just disappears. I know somebody did mention if I remember the West Tone guitars, and I do, and I forget the particular model that was mentioned, but when I pulled up the video, instantly I remember those guitars, man. We had a lot of different companies, guitar companies out in the early to mid 1980s, and even in the 70s, Hondo brand, Hondo guitars and all that. Like what we're seeing just like about a year or so ago, Fender released, they call it the Lead series, the Lead 1 and the Lead 2. Well, those guitars came out in the mid 80s, so I definitely remember those. So a lot of it's like bringing stuff back that kind of got pushed back. So anyways, guys, okay, I'm going to play another little piece here, and I'm going to use this guitar here. And this originally I made up when I was doing a sound check when I was playing at the restaurant, which was called the Corte Bistro. And I actually recorded it on the Ibanez RG, and I titled it, "Can This Guitar, Play Jazz?" And actually, this is what came out. So this is another jazzy piece, it's a little jazzy original. It's Jazz Fusion Sunday, and this is entitled "In the End." So I hope you guys enjoy. Here we go. All right, my friends, thank you so much. This particular piece, I intentionally wanted to play it with just a clean sound because I was literally testing out this guitar right here, the old little Ibanez. You know, with the hot pickups. It's a shredder's guitar. It is what you make it. You know what I mean? What I did in that original recording is I turned down the tone knob to get more of a mellow sound. That's a little trick we used to do back in the day. You know, we didn't have a whole lot of money, so how would we kind of simulate what these jazz guitars, these hollow body guitars, we would turn down the tone and you get like this. Now I seen a guy talk about doing the same technique with turning the tone down, but on the bridge pickup, you get more of a mellow sound. You know? But I mean, it just kind of simulates it, that's all. But basically, what that whole melody is, it's based off of the first two chords I'm playing, is A sharp minor 7. See, I turn volumes down and I forget I get them down. And then I go to a F minor 7. So what I did, I originally came up with the melody here. Just noodling. And basically with those notes there, it's a F to an A sharp to a C to a C sharp. Let's see. And back to the C. So that's basically there. Here, I'm doing a F, sliding down to E flat, back to E, G sharp, A sharp. And it just happens to fit. And I'm probably thinking, why does it fit? This is where I don't use, people think that I think in terms of Dorian and Lydian and theory this and theory that. I know those notes are within these chords, and that's why I know that they're going to work, because they're within the chords, you know. And people say, oh, so you're a type of guy that arpeggiates. Well, I use arpeggiating. I play mostly with expression. I try to get the most emotional value out of a note versus what is technically deemed what you should and shouldn't play. I'm not saying I don't understand that there's not a roadmap there. Of course there is, you know. But like I said, and how I was teaching a lot of students, once you know all the notes on the fretboard, you'll never be confused as far as your ability to play something, you know, in conjunction with building your technique, you know, and having emotion, playing with expression. You'll always be able to make music. The only thing that might throw you off is when people talk and, you know, using the formula system. And if the formula system works for you, by all means, you know, you use that. But if that confuses, just look at the notes on the fretboard because they're good. That's basically what it is. You could call it Dorian, you could call it Lydian, you could call it Maryland if you want it. It's still notes on the fretboard. That's not going to change, you know. And if you listen to a lot of your performing jazz musicians, you know, they'll tell you basically the same thing. And if you talk with the blues, you know, the original blues guitarists, a lot of them will say, you know what, I only know from here to here, and the rest I kind of fumble and bumble, but you know what, I just make music. And that right there is the key, you know. So let's see if I could do something else before I call it a day, because I know I don't want to keep people, you know, bored here or anything. I hope I'm not boring anybody, you know. But I'm going to be working on new material for this, and I'm trying to do this as every other Sunday because I don't really want to burn it out or anything like that. if I got something here. This is the thing with these looping pedals. You know, you once you get them in store, you know, you have to go up and down, but the convenience, I don't have to go to a computer and do this and the other. Everything is hands free, you know. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. We're going to finish off with a little bit of a Gary Moore. I don't know if it's Gary Moore wrote it, but it's a song called Cold Day in Hell, man. All right, my friends, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We will do this every other Sunday. I'll have some newer material. and maybe we won't talk so much or start answering more of your questions, which I think that's what I'm gonna do. Write all your questions down and then start putting them up on the next session there and just answering the questions there. But again, thank you so much for all your guys' support. I really appreciate it. And support each other. That's what this is all about. Whenever you can, because I know life does get busy. And you guys are always welcome on this channel. Until next time, my friends, you stay safe, you stay true, rock on, and God bless you, my friends. Thank you so much. Take care now.